Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to look at the second Planeswalker deck from Amonkhet, which is Liliana Wielder, which is a black and green deck. Let's take a look at the deck list here. So we've got 20 creatures, 7 enchantments, 3 artifacts, 2 instants, 2 sorceries, 25 land, and obviously 1 Planeswalker, and then we've got a mana curve on the side there. I did not realise how much it spikes at 3. It's the first time I've actually probably looked at it since putting the graphics together. My word, that is a huge spike. Anyway, let's get on looking at the cards. So we're going to start by looking at the face of the deck, Liliana. Liliana Wielder. So 5 and double black for 5 for 5 loyalty Planeswalker. So she is super expensive. I think she's one of the most expensive of the of all the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers. Normally they're 5 or 6. So yeah, she's topping off the curve there at 7, and I'm not honestly too impressed with her abilities. I'd expect a lot for kind of 7. So let's kind of run through the abilities. So +2 is to put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That's pretty underwhelming, I think. I don't think it would be outrageous to have that be 2 -1/-1 counters, considering like you're not getting her down till turn 7. Really, yeah, there is a bit of ramp in the deck actually, so you could get her down a bit earlier. But yeah, like on a 7-mana Planeswalker, I know these Planeswalkers are kind of obviously a bit more like low powered, obviously for casual games, but yeah, like just to do a -1/-1 counter, I think. I mean, at least it's a permanent debuff, I suppose. That is another thing I should mention, that -1/-1 counters are back in Amonkhet. It was a whole kind of thing, which is interesting actually, because we've not seen -1/-1 counters, I think, since I want to say like Mirrodin Besiege and like New Phyrexia and stuff. I haven't seen -1/-1 counters since then, when it was used as part of Infect. But anyway, yeah, they're back. So yeah, that's okay. And then her -3 is to destroy a creature that has a -1/-1 counter on it. So you've got it's an inbuilt, very very dirty little combo here, where you're basically coming at -1 loyalty. Yeah, I mean, at least at least it kills anything, I suppose, as long as you get the counter right. There are other ways of getting -1/-1 counters on creatures in the deck, but yeah, again, it's sort of all right, isn't it? I suppose. And then her -10 is return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, which, by the time you get her up to her -10, you probably will have a fairly stacked graveyard, because the game will have been going on for about 10 turns by that point. So yeah, that's I suppose it's okay. But again, it's just creature cards from your graveyard. Like, I feel like on a 7-mana Planeswalker with a -10 ability, would it be so outrageous to ask for all creature cards from all graveyards under your control? Would that be so outrageous? So yeah, overall, not impressed with this incarnation of Liliana, which is a real shame, because she's a great character. But yeah, this is a little disappointing, honestly. So let's look at her signature cards. So we've got 2 Liliana's Influence, so 4 and double black. Put a -1/-1 counter on each creature you don't control, so that's kind of okay. And then you obviously search up Liliana, either from your library or graveyard. So again, this still feels very expensive. Yeah, it's like a -1/-1 on every creature you don't control. That's, I guess, okay. And the search effect is usually worth sort of like, I guess, like 2 mana, I suppose. So like for 4 mana, would I play a spell that did -1/-1 counter on every creature I don't control? Maybe. It's okay. Again, it just feels very expensive. But then again, like Liliana's 7, like there's no point in this being cheaper, I suppose, because you would, the ideal. These are designs like you cast them, and then the next turn you cast the Planeswalkers, I suppose. So it's fine. We've got 3 Desiccated Naga, so 2 and a black for a 3/2. 3 and a black, target opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Activate this ability only if you control a Liliana Planeswalker. This is probably one of the more disappointing, I think, out of all the Planeswalker buddy cards that I've looked at so far, just because it's so, like, it doesn't deserve to be uncommon. That's what annoys me about it. This would be perfectly fine as a common. Because without the one card in the deck, it's just a 3/2 for 3 with no other abilities. Just super. It's not a great it's not a great ambassador for like these Planeswalker like buddy cards, and I just think overall they're really underwhelming, and this one especially, because like it's a really expensive ability as well. I mean, you could argue that once you have Liliana out because she's 7, then maybe next turn, you get to use the ability twice to drain 4 life. But yeah, I just think it's very good at all. I like Tattered Mummy though, so it's really nice we've got 4 of these. So 1 a black for a 1/2. When it dies, each opponent loses 2 life. That's great. I love that. that's a perfect cute, elegant little like black common creature. That's great. We like Tattered Mummy. That's fine. Right, so the rest of the deck is kind of themed around -1/-1 counters, sort of. We'll see as we go on. So one of the other rares in the deck is Channeler Initiate. So 1 and a green for 3/4, which is like amazing stats, right? But when it enters the battlefield, you put 3 -1/-1 counters on target creature you control, and you can tap, remove a -1/-1 counter from Channeler Initiate, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So I actually really like the design here because you can either, have this, you can either cast this as it's sort of like intended, have it as a, 2 mana. It comes in as a 0/1. It's got 3 counters in it, and you can use its ability 3 times to get extra mana. That's obviously one route with it. The other route is that you just put 3 -1/-1 counters on like a 1-drop or something, or presumably you're playing this turn too, and then you've got a 3/4 for like 2 mana with like the drawback was essentially sacrifice a creature. So I actually quite like the that this could go one of 2 ways when you play this card. I think in this deck, because like it's a fairly greedy mana curve, I think the best thing is to put the counters on itself and then use its ability to generate mana. But then once you've done that, you've got a 3/4. So yeah, I quite like Channeler Initiate. I think it's okay. And then it actually makes me think of like a fixed devoted druid in a way, I suppose. Then we've got 2 Decimeter Beetles. So this was kind of like the green-black draft archetype, like signpost card, I suppose, of Amonkhet. So green-black, I suppose, was like -1/-1 counters, but like putting them on your stuff and then shuffling them around. Like we see with Channeler Initiate, puts the counters on something you control. And there'll be a few other cards that we'll see that do something similar to that. So Decimated Beetle is 3 a black and a green for a 4/5. When it ends the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control. And when it attacks, you remove a -1/-1 counter from a creature you control, and then put a -1/-1 counter up to a creature the defending player controls. So obviously you just put this on itself, so then it's a 3/4. You swing with it, immediately take it off, and then put it on, an X, kill off an X1 or make another blocker cheaper. Say weaker, and you've got like other aspects here of like getting -1/-1 counters onto your stuff and then taking them off. So yeah, I like Decimated Beetle. I think that's pretty fun little card. And then we've got a single Festering Mummy. Why there's only 1 is really frustrating. Like, there should definitely be at least like 2 or 3 of these, because it's like, I think it's so good. So 1 black mana, just for a 1/1. When it dies, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. That's great. That's like an effect the deck really wants. It wants a really cheap creature. It wants to put -1/-1 counters on things. Yeah, definitely should have had more than 1 of these. I think Festering Mummy is really solid little card there. Can really sort of like impact the board, because like it's kind of like this is a sort of a tangent, but going back to sort of like Shadowmoor Eventide, like creatures with Wither, like even if they had low power, they're like permanently affecting the board by putting -1/-1 counters down, and permanently weakening like bigger creatures. So that can make things reluctant to block it and stuff. Won't get what I'm saying. So Baleful Amit is like one of the cards I was mentioning there that put -1/-1 counters on your own things and like how you can shuffle them around. So it's 2 and a black for a 4/3 with lifelink, which is again really great stats. But when it enters the battlefield, you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. So you could put it on itself, I suppose, and then it's a 3/2 for lifelink for 3, which is still okay. But again, you could put it on oh god, what's it called? Channeler Initiate, yeah. And then that's another way of getting some extra mana out, or put it on the Decimator Beetle and then shuffle it around. Yeah, so I really like that kind of design. And then it's like a 4/3 lifelink, which is obviously pretty good for any 3 mana. And then we got Crocodile of the Crossing as well, so 3 and a green for 5/4 with haste. So again, like 4 mana for that set line is really good. And when it ends the battlefield, you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. So you can put that on itself. Like a 4/3 for haste with for 4 is like okay, but again, put it on a creature you don't particularly care about, and then you got a massive like 5/4 haste that can immediately swing. So yeah, pretty good. I quite like this kind of strategy of putting -1/-1 counters on your own things as like kind of an alternate cost of getting like a big body. And with the Decimated Beetle, as I say, of shuffling them around, I think it's really fun. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's just a shame the rest of the deck doesn't really do too much with it, It's really only those cards. So then we've got 2 Gravedigger, like classic Gravedigger, back in Amonkhet style. yeah, Gravedigger is just a card that's shown up in so many of these videos. 3 and a black for a 2/2 when it enters the battlefield. Return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Fantastic. We just love Gravedigger. Really solid creature. 2 giant spiders, 3 and a green for just a 2/4 reach. Yeah, it's fine. Like, definitely been power crept by this point. There's definitely, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine, especially when it has like really funky art like this. Really like giant spider. And then 2 June beetles, just 1 and a black, just for a 1/4. Yeah, just it's fine, I suppose. Just a big body that you can put -1/-1 counters on, I suppose, and doesn't matter too much. So, yeah, I suppose it's serving that purpose there. Then non-creature spells. So we got 2 Splendid Agonies, 2 and a black, instant speed, distribute 2 -1/-1 counters at -1 or 2 target creatures. So this is nice. It has a bit of flexibility. Kill off an X2 or 2 X1s, or just permanently weaken other bigger creatures. Yeah, really like this. This is nice. I like that. And then a whole bunch of cartouches. So we've got 2 Cartouche of Ambition, 2 and a black. It's an aura that goes on a creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and the enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has lifelink. So yeah, I think that's fairly solid for 3. Yeah, it's because it's potentially a kill spell, isn't it? Kill off an X1, or again weaken a bigger one, and gives your own creature just like a little buff. It's okay. And then 2 Cartouche of Strength, 2 and a green. Again, enchanted creature control. When Cartouche of Strength enters the battlefield, the enchanted creature fights, or it's may, it's not, it has to, fights a creature an opponent controls, so that's nice. Again, another kind of little removal spell, and gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 and trample. So yeah, these are kind of nice little effects for 3 mana, I suppose. That they're both serving as removal and a bit of a buff. And then we've got 2 Trial of Ambition, so 1 a black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent sacrifice creature, so it's an edict effect, which is, yeah, it's basically, it's at sorcery speed, it's 2 mana, which is kind of what you'd pay for an edict effect anyway. When a cartouche enters the battlefield under your control, return Trial of Ambition to its owner's hand. So you got, you got 4 cartouches in total, so you could actually, I think, get like a fair, if this kept bouncing around and stuff, you could get a fair number of uses out of Trial of Ambition. So yeah, that's okay. I feel like it does this kind of gimmick better than the Gideon deck we looked at last time, where you only had like 2 cartouches, but you had 3 of the trials, I suppose, so it would have worked out about the same. But yeah, this is okay. And then randomly, completely veers off road and goes into like this whole theme of brick counters, which was a thing in Amonkhet, like building these like monuments. So we've got 4 Oracle's Vault. No, 1 Oracle's Vault. It costs 4. It's early. I'm so sorry. So this is one of the other rares in the deck. So 4 to cast. You can spend 2 and tap, exile the top card of your library. Until end turn, you can play that card, put a brick counter on Oracle's Vault. So it gives you like a little bit of impulse draw, and you can tap, exile top card of your library, and until turn you can play that card without paying the mana cost. Activate the ability only if there are 3 or more brick counters on Oracle's Vault. So like basically all these like monuments have an improved effect when you get 3 brick counters on them. On a side note, I really wish in New Capenna that the Riveters Guild, like the Jund Guild of all the like construction workers, really wish they had something to do with brick counters. I think that would have been really fun. But anyway, yeah, this is fine, I think, because at the very least, what the impulse draw is all right. Obviously the impulse draw is better when it's in sort of until the start of your next turn, maybe, or like until the end of your next turn. Because you're having to pay 2 and then hope you can cast whatever gets exiled. So that's okay. But obviously that final ability where you can just exile top card and then just play it for free is obviously incredible. So worth kind of working towards. Then we've got a single Edifice of Authority, so 3 mana artifact, 1 and tap. Target creature can't attack this turn. Put a brick counter on Edifice Authority. Yeah, that's fine. And then 1 and tap, and 2 and next turn. Target creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So basically, like detain it. Activate this ability only if there are 3 or more brick counters on Edifice Authority. So yeah, this is okay. At least it keeps big attackers at bay kind of all the time, which is nice. And then once you've got all the counters, then it is like an arrest effect every turn, which is fairly solid, I think. And then a single Luxor River Shrine, 3 mana artifact, 1 and tap. You gain 1 life, put a brick counter on it, and then tap, gain 2 life. Activate only if there are 3 or more brick counters on Luxor River Shrine. That's obviously out of the 3. That's obviously I think the most boring one because all it is gaining life. and having to pay 1 just to gain 1 life is so depressing. And I say the upshot is like not so great, I suppose. I mean, like a constant tap gaining 2 life is all right, I suppose. It does like slow down aggro, but yeah, out of the 3, that's obviously the most boring one. But yeah, it's just so weird that it veers into doing these like monuments, which is cool because I think it's like a fun little thing, like all these little monuments. But like, I don't know if it was right for this deck, maybe. And then a single Gift of Paradise, 2 and a green, aura goes on our land. When it ends the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any 1 card to your mana pool. Yeah, like a tiny bit of ramp, but it's like 1 card in the whole deck, so yeah, I guess. And then this is interesting. It's a non-basic land that is not a dual land. Grasping Dunes, so it is a desert land, and like deserts were a whole thing in Amonkhet as well. There was like kind of a whole, like, I wouldn't say archetype exactly, but yeah, there was enough cards that cared about deserts to matter, I suppose. Ramanap Ruins, I think, being the most infamous one. So either taps give you colorless, or 1 and tap sacrifice to put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Activate this ability any time you cast a sorcery. So it's nice that it can double up as a removal spell, and like for only 1 mana, it's actually pretty good, I think, on a land. So yeah, I think this is all right. And then we've got 4 Foul Orchard, standard black green. Tap land, yeah, whatever. And then 11 swamps and 9 forests. So yeah. So overall, I'm not. It's I don't know. It's really hard to like. I don't know. I think it's because I'm so disappointed with like Liliana, but that is just 1 card in the deck, I suppose. I guess the thing is, like, as we can see here, there's like 3, I think, really solid cards that could have been in the deck that like could have made more out of like this -1/-1 counter theme. Like, honestly, I do think like those 3 monument cards are actually kind of a waste of deck space. Because you could have had like kind of more cards that had more synergy with like the main strategy of the deck. So let's just talk through those. So Nest of Scarabs is like the really big one that I think should have been here. So it's a 2 and a black for enchantment. Whenever you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect creature tokens. So this is like right off the bat, that's like really good, isn't it? Like that's like that gives you fodder to put like your other mice. Well, the thing is, like, you break even if you like put a -1/-1 counter on like one of your token creatures, like say from Crocodile the Crossing or like the Baleful Amet. You just make another insect because you break even. You don't lose anything. So this I think definitely at least one of these should have been here. Soul Stinger, I think, is like a fairly solid common creature. So 3 and a black for 4/5, and ends the battlefield. Put 2 -1/-1 counters on the target creature control. So it's again this other thing. You could have like just a 4/5 for 4 mana, or you can put it on itself, and then it's down to being a 2/3. But it has a fairly solid ability when it dies. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature for every -1/-1 counter that was on Soul Stinger. So yeah, it's either a 4/5 for 4, or it's a 2/3, and when it dies, puts 2 -1/-1 counters or something. That's fairly solid. And same here with Exemplar of Strength, 1 and a green for a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, put 3 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. Again, can be just a creature you don't care about and it dies, and you've got a 4/4 for 2 mana, or put it on itself and it has its ability when it attacks, you can take a counter off it and gain a life. So I just feel like these would have been like a lot better in the deck, honestly. But there's another alternative because, like, Liliana, as we know, loves zombies. Black and white zombies was like a really fun archetype in Amonkhet. Could have made this deck black-white and had a whole bunch of like zombie tribal effects. So you had Liliana's Mastery here, which was 3 and double black, gives all your zombies +1/+1, and creates 2 zombies when you play it. So like right off the bat, that's 5 mana to make 2 3/3 bodies. You had Lord of the Accursed, which is another zombie like Lord Anthem effect, and gives all your zombies evasion when it taps. So that could have been here. And Wayward Servant, when another zombie enters the battlefield under control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So that could have really pivoted. I mean, like the -1/-1 counter strategy is fine, but this zombie idea was right here as well. And I think it's basically it's sort of it's a consequence of, I suppose, of only having 2 decks per set. You can't really explore kind of all the themes and mechanics that are in the set, I suppose, and especially when in these decks, this is going off on a real tangent here about the Planeswalker decks in general, but you only have 2 per set, and like 10 cards in the deck are dedicated to like the Planeswalker and like their signature cards. There's not really a lot of room to explore like the other stuff that was in the set, which is a shame. But anyway. But yeah, that aside, I'd love to know what people think about this deck. If you have any thoughts or stories or comments, opinions, I don't know what to say about this one specifically. Like, I thought this one was a little bit disappointing personally. I think they could have been definitely like tightened up in some places and a bit more on theme, a bit more focused. So I'd love to hear what people think about it. But we're now done with Amonkhet, so the next video is going to be moving on to Hour of Devastation. So I hope you join me for that. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.